All right. Good afternoon, or actually, good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing all right these crazy times. This is another Morbid Symptoms podcast, and I'm happy to have Artless with me, as she is our program's, let's see, top contributor when it comes to gender ID, women's rights, and the law and policies and all that, in particular in the UK. So I'm very happy to have her on because we are having a pod. This show is basically titled, well, it's titled No Men in Women's Sports. And it's inspired, of course, it's been an ongoing problem for quite a few years, but it was inspired by, was it yesterday or was it the day before when the guy
It
knocked
was
out the,
yesterday.
it was supposed to, yeah. So it was Karina. Oh, I can't remember her name at the moment, but I'll just put this on the screen. So she had to forfeit in 40 seconds into the fight, and she says because I think he hit her once or twice, and she had never been hit that hard before, and realized that this wasn't going to wasn't going to work out, so she forfeited the fight, and it's caused an uproar because he's a man. Anyway, that's my feeling on it. What would you like to start off with, Artless?
I mean, I think well, the first thing I'd like to say is an absolute travesty what went on yesterday, and this whole sorry mess lies squarely at the foot of the IOC, and that is the Olympics Committee. They've known for quite some time that there are question marks over the eligibility of this gentleman in the female boxing category, and they've chosen to override, by the way, the actual boxing federation in order to put this guy into the female boxing ring. And words are fail me, and that's a very rare thing to happen
Yeah.
because I mean, just the manifest unfairness of it, not to mention the risking the safety and possibly the livelihood, the life of a woman just for the so-called inclusion factor. This is just, it's a shambles. It's a shambles. On one hand, you could almost feel sorry for the Algerian candidate, but at the same time, because of the previous disqualification, I don't feel sorry for him anymore, because at some point he's known that there is a question mark over his eligibility, and he still decided to go in and
Mhm,
take advantage of the IOC relaxing the rules. And this is just
mhm.
completely wrong. He could have harmed her in the ring yesterday. In fact, he did actually. I think he punched her nose, and I'm not sure whether he
Mhm,
actually broke it, but there was
mhm,
blood on her shorts afterwards. Not
mhm.
to say she probably would, maybe she couldn't get that blood if she'd been fighting another female, but I think the estimates are that a male punch is 2.6 times harder than the average female punch. What are they
Mhm.
thinking?
Yeah, I don't
What
know.
are they
And
thinking?
and I know that some people want to feel sorry for him, and I don't. Uh, and there's a reason for this. And I don't have the picture of him with Emmanuel Macron, but to me, it's that I find it impossible to believe that he did not know of his condition. This is not 500 years ago or even 100 years ago. So I can believe, and people are showing pictures when he was a kid, and how he was in pink and is dressed like a girl. It's like, okay, I can imagine. And again, I don't know anything about his family, so I'm just basing this on on like what I am aware of, is that when they have kids that are born with these disorders, and if it's ambiguous genitalia on the outside, for the longest time, and maybe even still now, I don't know how it is in Algeria, the doctors want to be able to tell the parent if they have a boy or a girl. Yes. And so I can imagine that and again, these disorders are sex specific. So males have a certain disorder of sexual development, and females have others. However,
Mm-hmm.
when he went through puberty, uh, things would have happened. I can't. I just find it
Like,
impossible to believe that he didn't know that he was a man or a male until he took a test. Whatever it was, because a few times, as far as I'm aware, He took a test and and was disqualified because he has a Y chromosome. Now, um,
Mm-hmm.
this is the thing, and is that I can imagine that if that obviously he's into boxing and he wants to compete, and he can't compete against men, but he can compete with women. So maybe he's convinced himself because he has this condition that he's some sort of border case, that he should be able to compete against
Mm-hmm.
women. Sorry, no. Lots of people want to do things and they can't do it. Not everybody, very
Mm-hmm.
few people make it to the level to be able to compete at that level. Sorry, not sorry. You don't get to compete against women. The women's category is not for men with these disorders. I don't feel sorry for him, and I don't think it was a surprise. I think he's cheating. Now I don't know what he's convinced himself of, or what other people have convinced him of, but I just don't. I don't. I don't. And it's also maybe like a few years ago, I would have been more sympathetic, but where we are now, I'm like, yeah, hard no.
Yeah.
But that's I, you
Yeah.
know.
I don't know that he knew all along. I mean, there's so many similarities with the Casta Semenya case,
Mhm,
the South African athlete the athletics athlete who actually, if Khalif has the same DSD as Casta, then we've been
mhm,
through this rodeo before, right? Okay, people,
mhm,
similar trajectory. People who grow up in third world or developing countries where
mhm,
you wouldn't always know this straight away.
mhm.
Okay, I think it would take and but with
But
Casta,
he wasn't out in the
similar.
woods. I mean, Algeria is it wasn't like he was out somewhere where there was
No,
no
he
I
wasn't
mean
out in the woods, but I think with 5-ARD, the issue is okay, and this is sometimes the issue for GCs as well. If someone's got a vagina, they're a woman, and blah blah blah. And of course, 99.9% of the time, that is absolutely correct. With people of DSD, he may have a vagina, may have been born with one. Okay, um, but he, because he probably has undescended tests, he's probably never had a period.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
these DSDs,
I'm sorry.
normally when
I
it
don't
gets to puberty, that's when we start.
I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. You can. I'm not. He's not 12 or 14.
Okay.
Maybe there was some discrepancies, but once you went through puberty, sorry. And you can look at him. It's obvious. And
I mean,
it's
yeah,
not like,
and I
"Oh,
think
I'm
this is another
shocked."
thing.
It's not,
There's a lot of
I'm
people.
like no.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, you shouldn't go just off looks and stuff. But I'm like, okay, fine. But if you go through the looks thing and then you go through a test and the test confirms that you have a Y chromosome, at that point the disqualification is valid. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we should. Women can look masculine in sometimes. Okay, it's not often, but it does happen. We've got butch
Yeah.
women. That's not an issue. But the issue
Mhm.
is the suspicion gave rise to a test, and that test proved this person has his chromosomal makeup does not align with the female chromosomal makeup. At that point, the disqualification should be straightforward. We shouldn't be arguing.
Mhm.
We shouldn't be at the stage at all
Mhm.
because we
Yeah.
know then. And I think that even the worrying thing about this to me is with athletics when we went through this whole furore with Semenya, which was 2009 was when the Semenya case first came out. We are now
Mhm.
almost 15 years down the line,
Mhm.
and why are we still having the same disingenuous,
Mhm.
absolute bullshit discussions
Mhm.
about this when we all
Mhm.
know what this is about?
Yeah.
When we say no males in female spaces, female sports, we mean no males. It doesn't matter whether you're a trans identified male or you are a DSD male. It's no
Mhm.
males. That's the rule. It's not
Yeah.
universal, it's just for the female category. Okay. There's a lot of people, especially, and I know
Does
also
this look like
several
somebody?
pastors
I mean,
say
look,
that
yeah,
it's the
but look,
press.
here he is. Here he is from a couple of years ago. I mean, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's obvious he's got quite a male physique, and
It's
that's
not
not
like
surprising.
it's not like sorry, people are calling him she. It's not like she's trying to pass. I mean, and again,
Yeah, I
this
mean,
is, I'm just like, I'm not buying it for a hot minute. Not buying it.
yeah. What I will say is this as
I mean,
well.
I don't
A
know what's
while
in his
back,
mind, but
when
I'm not
we,
buying it. Yeah.
yeah, when these DSDs first started coming to light back then, and especially for people from developing countries and stuff, I can in a way understand it a little bit in the sense that if you grew up, and let me just give him the benefit of the doubt and say, look, okay, having read a little bit of his story over the last 2 days, grew up in a country where he was assumed to be female growing up. Okay, started doing boxing, which wasn't again really accepted by his father, who thought, you're a woman, why are you doing boxing and all of this kind of stuff. And there was a case, I think, a couple of years ago of an Indian athlete who was discovered with this DSD at testing, and then unfortunately that person then committed suicide. Okay, once the testing came to light that they were a female, and they were a male, and they were disqualified and everything else, they committed suicide. So of course, these situations need to be managed very carefully, but they should be managed carefully by the federations, the country's federations, because by now people who are in the sporting authorities, they know about these conditions. So when the first test comes and there's an issue, you need to be sitting down with your athletes and having a very detailed conversation about what this means, give them some compensation, and then sort it out. But don't give them this false hope and send them down in front of the global media spotlight, because it's going to be a pretty harsh and unforgiving spotlight, which is exactly what is happening now.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to feel bad for this man who's punching women in the face. Now, again, if it was like a 14, 15-year-old or something like that, I can imagine in certain places, and not in most countries until a while ago, that when a baby was born, that I could be that they just assumed that he was a girl. Okay, fine. But at a certain point, that did not hold, especially when puberty started. And I can look at pictures of him.
Yeah.
And say like something was going on. And then when you start getting to professional sports, like he failed 2 of these tests before. Yeah. So it wasn't like it was unknown. So I can imagine that. Yeah. I don't know what he's told himself, because he could be like, I really like boxing, and he does have this condition, but he's a male. Even though, again, these conditions are male, as far as I know, and I'm not a person who's an expert in this, but I've read people who have looked at who do know these things about intersex conditions. They're sex specific. There's only 2 sexes. That's it.
Yeah, they are.
Now, so my thing is, and I totally agree with you, that they need to stop pussyfooting and just be like, look, this is our policy. Yeah. And we have to err on the side of safety for the women. Yeah. And of course, it's the same reason why they have. It's the same reason why they test for doping. Yeah, they test for steroid use. It's the same thing. Yeah, and I think it's also the case that it's some women that have these disorders that also have a problem, because they produce extra testosterone, that it shows that people think they're doping, when it could just be a side effect or a symptom of their condition. They also have a problem because it's supposed to be fair for the majority. And it's just like, I'm sorry, who cares?
Yeah,
it's like, deal with it. Not everybody gets what they want. But I totally agree with you that this particular issue in particular lies at the feet of these people, of these boards that know better, but for whatever reason don't want to have very explicit, transparent, objective rules.
Yeah. The IOC have brought this upon themselves, and now they're like, shooting bombs everywhere and saying, oh, you're concerned about the athlete's welfare, people are bullying this athlete and all this kind of stuff. What about Karina? She got punched in the face by someone who punches 2.6 times harder. Okay. And I think the scary thing
he's failed these tests before. He knew. I don't know what he knew 5-10 years ago. I mean, he must have been suspicious, but he knows now, and his people who train him know. So, boo-hoo. If you're not aware of how it looks like, then he's an idiot. In addition to having this disorder, he's an idiot. Which is possible. I don't know.
When people want something so bad, okay, they allow themselves to conveniently cloud over quote-unquote inconvenient facts, right? So, I mean, if you want to play devil's advocate, you can say, oh, okay, well, if he really, if he's found out that he's a male on a global stage and he's going back to a country like Algeria, where, I mean, first of all, people with DSDs are such a minute part of the population. For them to be even in sports is another even smaller.
Again, look how he dresses. He's not trying to pass as a woman. So I don't buy that
Yeah.
either.
Well, I mean,
I
how he
mean,
dresses
I
and
don't know what to tell. I don't
everything
know what to
else,
tell
that's not.
people. I mean, if he
Yeah.
was really like
You,
going for it, like he's a girl, and this is and but I mean, it's like, and it's also convenient when he decided to grow his hair out and put some mascara on. I'm calling bullshit to high heaven. But again, he could explain it. He
yeah.
could
I mean,
rationalize it because he does have a condition. He does have a medical condition.
yeah.
I don't dispute
He
that.
has. I mean, I think we've really got to be very clear about not juxtaposing this with the trans issue, okay, which is in itself another
But they're
shit
saying he's a woman,
altogether,
right?
okay. Yeah, but the point is, we come back to what the rules are. The rules for the
Mm,
female sporting category is it's a category strictly for females only. Okay, so this means, I'm sorry, yes, we know you are not trans, but you still have male advantage. This has been discussed in the
mm,
Court of Arbitration for Sport. It was
mm,
discussed during the Seminole case, and they were very, very clear about the reasons why men with these DSTs cannot compete in the female category. The reason
mm,
being, look, let's just say that you are born with it, you're a male born with a DSD, and you know what? You probably didn't know about it. The unfortunate issue is when it comes to sport, it gives you a mega
mm,
advantage over the average woman. And when it
mm,
comes to combat sport, which boxing is, it gives
mm,
you a dangerous advantage over women. And even an advantage, you are now a threat to your fellow competitors. And if sport is about
mm.
anything, it's about fair representation and it's about safety.
Yeah,
You
people
can't
get hit in the
put these
face.
people in with women. Yeah, it's can't.
Jesus
Seriously,
Christ. Sorry, Christians. I'm
we
sorry.
like to say, no, yeah, we like to say this in the West. Oh, we know so bad for men to hit women, so bad, and all of this kind of stuff. And here we are licensing a man hitting a woman for sport. What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Yeah, and I appreciate that it's and I blog this together as that sports isn't for mediocre men and it's not for fetish addled men, which is the trans part of it, or whatever. Whether it's
Mm-hmm,
someone
mm-hmm,
that considers it an illness or someone that just whatever. But because people, the
mm-hmm,
reason why this is so hot is because of that as well. Yeah, this whole inclusion and whatnot. So it's hard to distinguish. And plus, because people are saying she. Now I don't know what he refers to himself as, if he refers to himself as a she or not. But if he is a man and he's calling himself a she, that's quote unquote, in today's parlance, a trans woman. I don't make the rules. So,
mm-hmm,
and I just want to maybe, let's see if I can go through some of this because this is a long term thing. Let me put this down before I get too out of, okay, yeah. So, um, yeah. So a lot of it is the gaslighting, so now because it's
yeah,
now I don't know what I don't know I didn't know anything about this person till Genevieve. I think Genevieve from Redux was the first person she caught. There was this boxer and another
yeah. To
boxer.
post this,
I
yeah.
had never heard about this
Mm-hmm,
person before in my life. I don't follow boxing. I certainly don't follow Olympic
mm-hmm,
boxing. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not my thing. Okay. So I was like, what? And so everybody jumps on it. Yeah. So the
mm-hmm.
LGBTQI whatever people are going to jump on, the DEI people are going to jump on it. The people want to make it a left right issue. I had an argument. There was this crazy woman, I don't know, who was she was like a dog with the bone. First she was on Tanya, and then she was on me, and she just kept on keeping on with, why do you care about his genitalia? How have you looked under his skirt? Blah 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 blah. And it finally came out. I was like, I think that you're in love with him. Are you like his fan club president or something? I mean, this is crazy. Because I was just like, look, this is what I understand is that he likely has this issue. There was tests in the past that he failed. The reason why he got
Mm-hmm.
into the Olympics is because of whatever. So I'm sorry, whatever. And she's like, well, I just know I'm not in love with him. I just don't like right wing bullshit. I like to call it right wing, like bigots and whatnot. And I
It's
thought,
not
aha,
right wing bullshit. They're
and here,
completely
but
left
this is
wing
how
people
people
with a
present it. I'm like,
DSD.
okay, now I get it because there's these people who think, oh, it's a team, and she just assumed that I'm a right wing whatever. And I'm like, listen,
Mm-hmm.
lady, if you want to make right wing someone who doesn't pretend that men are women, who doesn't think who doesn't care about women's safety in sports, who is all about gaslighting, have at it. I mean, so then it might make sense. This woman doesn't know anything about anything. She just knows that if someone's saying something about this, they must be some sort of transphobe, racist, ultra right-wing fascist or whatever. It's just, it's
I
bonkers.
don't even understand this whole idea of it being racist. This is an inverse racism. You're trying to say that only people of color have DSDs, and that's obviously not true. The issue
Hmm.
here is maybe in some countries they don't do the testing at an advanced rate like they do in Western countries, but white people have DSDs too.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and
bullshit.
also I can imagine, I don't want to put you on the spot because you're African, but these people always want to bring up the Williams sisters. It's like, can we please stop? There's never been any evidence that they have some sort of intersex condition. Also, when they compete against male
They
tennis
aren't
players,
intersex.
they
They're
lose.
female.
When they compete against men, they lose. So it's like, shut up and leave them alone, yo. It's like crazy.
But this is what I mean by people then try and gaslight people who point this out by going on to some and actually being racist. Now you are actually regurgitating racist tropes by
Hmm.
saying, "Oh, okay, well, Serena Williams isn't a normative woman. Why isn't she a normative woman? Is it because she's black, or because we on every other
Yeah,
scale she is a woman? Not every other.
yeah,
She there's no other scale for black women.
yeah,
We are the
yeah.
same as white
Hmm.
women. Okay, we have DSDs, we have poor black women, we have poor white women, we have women who
Big,
are
small,
disabled who are black,
strong,
we have
weak.
women who are
Yeah.
disabled who are white. There's no separation there.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's no other woman in terms of black women. Okay, they're just a type of woman. But when we talk
Hmm.
about trans males, as in trans identified males, sorry, and when we talk about intersex males, they aren't a type of woman, they're a type of male.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no
As are
comparison to
men who
someone
think who
like
say
Serena.
they're trans,
It's
also
complete
men.
bullshit.
Yeah. Oh no, it's crazy. And so
Yeah,
and
I
so and so
literally
while I
had
go
to
ahead,
walk.
sorry.
And I was just gonna say, yeah, I've been facing this. I mean, it's amazing to me the amount of inverse racism that I've had to face over the last couple of days. Where someone you and I both knew was then describing black women as non-normative. I was like, are you fucking serious? What's non-normative about black
Normative.
women? Are redhead women
Actually,
non-normative?
yeah, that's hilarious because actually if you want to go with if we were being just objective and quantitative, there's a lot more women who aren't white on the planet that are white. Oh my god. But there
And
is
then
this
he's
weird
followed by
thing.
his handmaiden.
Who was it?
Sorry, and then he's followed by his handmaiden who's now saying, oh, if you're commenting on the Khalif thing, then you're coming from a place of hatred. No, idiot. We're not coming from a place of hatred. We're coming from a place of facts. And actually,
Yeah.
I would argue that you are coming from a place of hatred if you are actually trying to advocate for males to hit women in the boxing ring for sport. Because
Yeah.
that's self-hatred right there.
Yeah. Oh no, this I don't even I mean, I'm so tired. If all you have is you're mean, that's why I'm like middle finger. It's like, I don't care what it's like. You can think anything you want of me. I could be the meanest person ever. I'm right about this. And I don't know any of these boxing ladies, but I know what's fair. I know it's bullshit. And I know when I'm being gaslit. And we've been
Look,
gaslit from head to
yeah.
toe for 12 or 10 plus years on this crap. And women have had enough. And then you get people who get like mad, get upset, like, why are you so mad at me? It's like, listen, Donnie, which is a Big Lebowski reference. If people don't know the Big Lebowski, there's a character who's always coming into the middle of conversations. And so there's like this meme, like, you're a child, you
Mm-hmm.
come into the middle of the movie and you want to be everything explained to you. It's like, we've been dealing with this crap for 10 plus years. So don't expect to come in and then be like, oh, why are you so mad at me? It's like, also, know your basic biology. I'm not going to handheld you if you could start saying crazy crap to me.
Know
But
your
also,
basic
yeah,
biology. And if you're going to talk on this topic,
no,
read
have some
the
idea what you're
fucking
talking about.
report. The CAS report is out there in the public domain. Seriously, go and read it. Go and read it. It's been there for at least 2019. Okay,
Yeah,
it's readily available. Like, I would
hmm,
not even dream of commenting on this if I hadn't gone and read
yeah,
about it, because
yeah,
there's lots of things in this world that we don't know enough
yeah.
about. And we don't need
Hmm.
to pretend we're experts on and start shooting our mouths
No,
off in public. But if you're going to
yeah,
be that adamant about defending this nonsense, please at least know your shit. Because otherwise, I'm
yeah.
thinking you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, no, and it's like, and it's only, and it's
And
weird.
I'm
It's like
treating
people,
you with the
people are like, well, you
contempt
know about it,
that's
and I'm like,
right.
you know why we know about it? You know why Artlist knows so much about this stuff? Is because you fucking idiots. That's why we had to take our time. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not any of these things.
Neither am I.
Okay. But now I know all about this crap. Well, it's not crap. Sorry, it's not a crap. But I know all. I mean, I'm not from like how a medical person would, because that's not how my brain works. But I had to go into
Yeah.
all this stuff. That's how I know about the intersex stuff and the DSR and all these things. And I know all about. That's why I know that technically it's the gametes that determine the sex, not the chromosomes. Although yes, the majority of
Yeah.
women, I don't know what it is, 99% will have XX chromosomes, but some of them might just have an X, some of them might have an XXXY. There's
Mm-hmm.
variations, yeah. And the
Yeah.
reason why I know all this is because of this gender ID bullshit. I had because again, like you said, there are women, and I've known some women, um, uh, that are quite masculine. Yeah. So I can imagine that if you're already quite masculine, or maybe you have, you're on the, you have at least on the physicality and the musculature, maybe you have a slightly elevated testosterone, I know, and you're working out all the time, and you're like this badass, whatever. That okay, I could see that someone might be like, okay, is this, is she on something or whatever? Okay, but but now fine. And it could be the other way with men, but when we're doing with sports, it's not, the feminine thing doesn't come into picture. But it's like, we know. Again, I'm not going to come out and be really adamant about let's not have men punching women if I think there's a chance that this person is actually a woman. I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we know we have our go-to people like Emma fond of beetles, and some of the people who are actual evolutionary development biologists, who are medical doctors,
Again, yeah.
sports medicine, science, and all this stuff, who know this stuff, who aren't afraid to say, uh, to go against the grain with all this ideology, and you're mean, you're hateful, and we got to include everybody, and fuck women, and whatever. Um, so it's like, sorry, these, and the people who come at you, and then they get mad when you show them out to be idiots. It's like, well, I didn't make you come and make this ridiculous statement, but I'm certainly not going to be like,
Honestly, someone said to me today, "Oh, you guys,
it's like,
I
I'm
think you
sorry,
might as
you're
well
an
just go and
idiot.
join. So you might as well just go and join Posey Parker's cult. This is Posey Parker levels of hatred." And I was like,
Oh,
"Okay, really? Okay.
Jesus.
So are you trying to tell me that the core of administrating for sports, they are in Posey Parker's crew too? They probably never heard of her. Okay. And the person then came back and said, "You're just using that as an excuse." No, hun, I'm just reading the fucking facts. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need an
Yeah.
excuse. We don't need an
He might
excuse
be
to
the
say
best
no
person
males and
ever.
female
He might,
sports.
yeah. This guy, what, how do you say his name?
It's
Khalif?
bullshit.
He might be the sweetest guy ever. Too
The
bad
man police.
he should not be competing against women in boxing. Are you out of your mind? And it would be bad enough if it was golf or swimming or anything else. But when it's contact sports, or
Yeah,
like there's that one
because then you're
volleyball
just
player,
worried
there was
about
that
the
one volleyball
unfairness of
player,
it.
that woman who got hurt because some quote unquote trans woman slant like did this, like, what do they call it, spike, and like hit her in the head and like caused like moderate brain damage. This isn't a fucking joke. And all of a sudden feelings matter. Feelings matter when men are involved. I mean, it's the most amazing thing. Well, the feelings, it's like, well, it's it's like too bad. you know and the idea that I'm not going to say something because he's not white is silly, or because some of the followers I've gotten because of our stances on Palestine, who also have a trans flag, have the Palestinian flag and the trans flag, and whoever, whatever thing they are going to get mad. It's like, well, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong, and 2 + 2 = 4. I'm sorry. If you want to say it's hateful, I could give a shit anymore. Then fine, I'm a hateful motherfucking bitch. Fine. It still doesn't change the facts of the matter. I could be terrible. It doesn't change anything. And it's so ridiculous. And you know this. I know that you know. I mean, the fact that somehow it's easy or nice to take these positions. It's easier not to. Like, do you want to be dealing with this crap?
Mm.
I can imagine. And I know, and especially when they bring the race stuff in, it's like, oh, you got to mind. And I remember this. I can't remember. I think it was a couple. I don't know when I read this, but it makes sense to me. I could believe it. Um, that there's work about, of course, for a long time there was the male norm in medicine, and it still is a lot, but they're trying to change that. There's also the racial thing, and they found like when people, at least I don't know how robust this study was, but when they were talking to doctors and trainers and nurses, that somehow they seem to have that they thought like African American that black skin was thicker than white skin, and people tend to um can think that black people are older than when they are when they're kids. You know, they tend to have like higher expectations or think they have like a higher pain threshold. There's some weird. It's just bizarre. But I mean, again, this was one study. I don't know how robust it was, and so and I think it's the same thing that somehow that some of us get in our mind that somehow there's that literally black women or black people are like literally like a different species of human or something. And it's just and still like we're
I know.
2024 and
It's
still
so
dealing with this.
unbelievable.
It's like, no, their skin isn't thicker. Um, they've, the pain stuff, the symptoms. I mean, yeah, I realize that there's there that how we've developed. Oh, that there are certain illnesses that are group specific or tend to be more prominent in certain groups. Okay, yeah, I'm not disputing that, but I was looking at this stuff and I'm like, holy crap, you know. So, and how I extrapolated that, I'm getting a bit off topic here. What I extrapolated from this article I read is that that when black patients are complaining of pain, they're going to be not taken as seriously than if a white person does. Perhaps just and the people might not even be aware of
Yeah,
it.
that's
It might
true.
be like a subconscious thing. And I was like, Jesus, we're a messed up
Hmm.
group. But I wasn't surprised when I saw people, and even some people who should know better. I mean, not. I mean, everybody should know better, but people who actually aren't anonymous, that actually have some sort of standing to lose, wanting to like say, "Oh, well, I guess it's maybe Simone Biles shouldn't be able to be able to compete in the Olympics." And again, like you said, they throw up the Serena and Venus Williams sisters. I'm just like, seriously? But we're racists.
I find the whole thing just intellectually disingenuous,
I mean, I
immensely
want to jump up the
frustrating,
screen. I
and
can only
honestly,
imagine what a black person wants to do. Jesus, criminy.
I mean, how dumb are people? How dumb are people?
Pretty dumb,
Okay.
apparently.
Firstly, if you just have a look at this guy, you can tell from his physique that he's not a female.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want us to get into, oh, you can just tell straight by a look and stuff, but it's very obvious that he doesn't look like a woman. Okay. Should he be under pressure to be more feminine
Who's
if
the
he
who's
needs
the
more?
woman? I don't
Not
know.
necessarily. I mean,
I had to put a label because I
you
knew
know,
people wouldn't be able to tell. Ah,
you know.
anyway.
So yeah,
Yeah. I
I
mean, he's
find the
just so.
whole thing incredibly.
What a lady. I mean,
And
ah.
I've just found out that apparently Angela Carini, has now come out with a statement saying she wants to apologize to Khalif. And yet again,
Oh
this is making me
Jesus.
really bloody furious because they've obviously gone and put the pressure on her behind the
Oh
scenes,
yeah.
and now
Well,
they're
we heard this before. Yeah,
making her
we heard that.
apologize and
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
ignore her own vulnerabilities in that ring. What I'd like to
Mhm.
ask is, the IOC spokesperson. He used to come and, he was questioned about, again, this is why I have no sympathy whatsoever, because the Olympic Committee, by the way, they were questioned when once Genevieve broke the story. They've been questioned about it on at least three separate occasions in the lead up to this game. They
Mhm.
chose not to do anything about this. So this is squarely on them.
Mhm. Oh, it is, and
I
we
don't
know the
think,
shit they
like,
pull on women, the gaslighting and the cry bullying and the emotional blackmail. We know that because remember when it came out from Leah Thomas. Let's put that fantastic person up here. Let's see if I can find Leah. Okay, yeah. Here's my Leah slides. So William Thomas was ranked 462 in men's swimming, and then he decided he was a lady, and then he was ranked number one. Shocker. Because swimming,
mhm.
of course, there's a pretty big male advantage in swimming. And when we show some pictures of him, for those of you who think that's not the case, will maybe think differently. So, oops, sorry. So here, I mean, who doesn't have lovely shoulders like this? Ah, cheaties. Anyway,
It's all a
uh,
complete farce.
but we know from
All
these
of it.
women, we know that like for first Rodney against the first to speak out, that other people came out, how they were like they were made to feel like it was their fault. If anybody has a problem with Leah Thomas being on the women's swim team, it was their fault. They had to deal with their transphobia. They were offered mental health things. I mean, can you imagine a bigger gaslight than that? These women are saying, we have this we have they would try to be nice and say she and Leah and this trans woman swimmer, but I'm just gonna say he. So Leah Thomas, William Thomas, they just decides that he's trans, which is just a declaration. It's just a word. There's no such thing. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
objectively, there's no such thing. He's a man. He's always going to be a
Yeah.
man. Doesn't matter what he calls himself or what hormone suppressant he takes or doesn't take. And even if he cuts off his dick, he'll be a dickless man. He's not a woman. So, and again, so some of these women, because he was changing in their dressing rooms, and of course, he's going to start winning all this stuff. And if they dared to have an issue with it, they were like, they were gaslit, offered mental health things like it's
Mm-hmm.
something like something's wrong with these young women to be like, hey, he's a dude. First of all, we don't want to change in and out of our swimsuit. And I guess, and I didn't know this because I wasn't a professional swimmer ever, that
Yeah.
it takes a long time to get in and out of these swimsuits when you're at this level because they want them to be as tight to the body as possible. So who wants to be shimming and shaking with this guy with his dick out? And then, of course, he's going to start winning everything except for when he's smart and throws a race every once in a while because he could tell, like, okay, if I'm winning everything by like 15 seconds, that's not going to be very good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it's like, but they were, and I'm sure they're doing the same thing to this woman. Oh, he did. Oh, making her feel bad, and all the bad press, all the hate that's coming towards her opponent, and she should. And I mean, and I mean, if she does, I'll have sympathy for her. I hope she doesn't, but I'll understand the pressure because what's she like 24 or 25? But I hope she
Yeah,
knows
she's
some
25.
English. I hope she knows some English, and I hope the people who've gone through this, like Wiley Gaines and other people who can reach out to her and be like, "Stay strong, lady. We have your back. This is bullshit." They're gonna come at you. They're gonna try to cry bully. They're gonna try to call you a racist and a transphobe and all kinds of shit. But you were right, and they were wrong. And if you want, she could focus it on the Olympic committee and leave Khalif out of it. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's like I can imagine they really want her to do that. They want the heat off. They want her to suck it up. So not only did she have to not only did she get hit in the face by this guy and have to give up on her dream that she's been training for, now she has to go and eat all the shit because of it.
Yeah.
Fuck these people. Fuck every one of them. And everybody that enables this. I mean, it is just ridiculous. It is
It's
ridiculous. I
ridiculous.
mean,
It's
that's why I'm like,
absurd.
I
It's
can't go on YouTube.
maddening. It's really infuriating. And honestly, like I just the utter contempt. And we keep talking about this. There's contempt for like I didn't realize the world hates women so much because otherwise,
Yeah.
why am I going to be at this point?
Hmm.
Who ever thought this would be? You know what it's actually giving me vibes of? You know, back in the day, when you'd have like Roman gladiators going to bring their
Oh yeah.
slaves out in front of a hello, sweetie, um, in front of an
Hmm.
auditorium and have you like maul like animals and say, this is
Hmm.
how I feel like women are just zoo animals and they're being
Yeah. But
paraded
wasn't
to
it
be
fun?
humiliated and beaten down
Maybe
for
one
the
might beat a
entertainment
man.
of some really, yeah, really
Yeah.
huge
Although,
sadists. Because otherwise,
I'm
this
sorry,
isn't fun.
can you move your camera a bit? I can just see half your face.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I
Yeah,
mean, you have a
and
lovely
so
face. I'm just saying.
thanks. Yeah, so honestly, one sec. Has Uncle come back? No. Okay. Can you find my iPhone for me? Is it in the living room? Come give it to me. Come and give it to me.
I'm so bad. What is the
You
main?
live in. Thank you.
I was just thinking, I don't know what the main language is in Ghana. Or is there several? There must
Oh,
be several.
yes, darling. You want another bowl for it? Yes, you can have another one. But this is going to be your last one because it's going to be bedtime soon. Okay.
Cracking the whip, anti-artless.
Yeah. Trying to take advantage of my temporary distraction, and then also
Oh no, my
my
my kids
immense
do the same.
frustration. So
They
she
do
knows
the
she didn't
same
get.
thing. Like oh well, we forgot. I'm like, oh really? You forgot? You can't eat everything? Did you forget that? Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'm gonna start putting locks on. Every once in a while, my
Yeah.
husband and I are
So
like, maybe we should put locks on the cabinet.
yeah, and I mean, look, we're talking about the safety aspect. It's also manifestly unfair. Firstly, okay, I think women's boxing, okay, it's only been allowed as an Olympic sport since 2012. When you
Mm,
think about how hard these women have to train and
mm,
everything just to, for something that comes once every 4 years, for him to
mm-hmm.
even qualify, he's put another woman out of that situation.
Yeah,
Like, how is this fair?
it's not.
How is this fair?
It's not. And people like, and it's like, well, him. It's like, well, too bad. Sometimes you get bad luck, and bad luck for you. You're born with this condition, so you don't get to compete in boxing because I'm sure it's a disadvantage for him against men, and it's a great advantage for him against women. But he's a dude, so too bad. I mean, it's just like it's the same thing. I'm sure it's the same thing for women who have some of these disorders that have extra high levels of testosterone. They also have to. You just don't get to do it, and it's I can imagine. Life sometimes you don't get what you want. Most of
By
us,
the way, there
most of
aren't
the
that
time, don't get
many
what you want.
women who have, yeah, and there aren't that many women who have these high levels of like actual women. In 99% of cases where women supposedly have extra testosterone and have been disqualified for sporting purposes, it's because they're actually males with DSDs, not women with higher
Okay, yeah,
testosterone. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because
No,
there's a
and
scale, right? There's a
mhm.
scale. There's a scale of testosterone for women, and I think it ranges. Let me see if I can find this really quickly as I'm talking to
Go ahead, and I'll read my quote.
you.
Well, my tweet. While you're looking for that, I'll read my tweet that got something like 100,000 views. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
But I wrote that trans right, in quotes, example, men pretending to be women in the Olympics, so cheating, beating women literally, and stealing their opportunities. And then to all those woke bros, trans maids, and cowards who brought us here, fuck you. And this is just the most recent example, but we have from the same type of bullshit, we have men and women's prisons in women's rape crisis centers. We have men taking women's opportunities that are set aside for women. We have all this craziness, you know this invasion by a small group of men into women's sports language or spaces, sports and language, all because of, I mean, that's another thing. There's a lot. That's why that is a whole other issue. But it's because people, for whatever reason, would not say no. So, and then you have these woke bros, who I call on the left, who like to be, who seem to really enjoy being able to, uh, talk down to women and feminists, under the
Yeah.
guise of trans rights and gender inclusion and all this bullshit. Just a thing. And then you have what we call the trans maids, which are women who like will, no matter what, will always put the feelings and needs of so-called trans women, which are men, above women. That's most insidious, and either to be nice or to go along or for whatever. And the other cowards, whether they be biologists or people like that's this guy on the Olympic Committee or whoever, all the like most most all the Democrats in the United States, most all of the Labor Party who go along with this, who won't say no. It's like you can call yourself what you want, you can dress what you want, but there are boundaries. So when it comes to sports, when it comes to women's integrity and what do you call it? I don't want to say modesty, but it's kind of that. Anyway, but we know what I mean. When it comes to bathrooms, changing rooms, sports, all this stuff, lesbian dating apps, women only, whatever, then it's a no. You're a dude. And if you don't want that to be called out, then you need to respect the fucking boundaries and then we won't call it out. I'm not going to go up to some guy on the street and say, you're a guy, you're a guy.
Exactly. The only reason why we're having
If
this
he's coming into
discussion,
my if he's coming into the
and
bathroom and I'm
unfortunately
there on
having to
myself
go
with my
through.
girls, then that's a problem. When he's punching somebody in the face at the Olympics, it's a
Yeah.
problem. When it's Leah Thomas with his dick out in the changing room, it's a fucking problem. Okay? And if you want to make that about us and how we're mean and whatever, and I mean that's like all the people. There's people who obviously have taken a much better risk than I have, who've but it's just like too bad. Sometimes it's a no, and it's a righteous no, not a bigoted
Yeah.
no. It's just a no. Just like for nudists don't get to be nude all the time. And if you think if you really want to be the opposite
Eh,
sex, okay, but sometimes people are going to be no, not here. Deal.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also the lack of shame at this absolute gaslighting as well. It's like, okay, look, I mean, people can see, right? You just need to take one look at this guy, and
Oh
you
yeah,
can
like the
tell
crazy the
that
crazy lady online. Oh,
he has
sorry. No, the people who are like
honestly
somehow like,
speaking, as just to,
have you seen him naked? Like, I was like, have you
I
seen him? Like, he's seen his parts. Like, I don't need to see his parts. Okay, maybe my guess is his testes did not drop. I don't know what's going on down there. There's some pictures where he has a bulge. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's his phone. All I'm saying is, I don't need. It's the same bullshit. When people are saying, "Oh, how can you?" When people all of a sudden pretend that gender neutral bathrooms aren't new, like somehow it was really this mystery how bathrooms worked, And it's like, we don't need to see their junk to know if somebody with 99% accuracy is a man or a woman. Deal. It's just the truth. Unless you're blind and deaf, then maybe, yeah, then then
yeah.
it's more of an issue. But I'm just like so done. I'm so done. And people have not done people any favors by enabling this. And now I don't know, I don't know if they started to believe their own stupidity. I don't know what it is. But I'm like, please, if you want to lie to yourself, it's one thing, but don't expect us to go along with it. It's just insane. But I have a few more slides. Let's see, because I wanted to, for people who come across this who maybe aren't familiar, because of course women's sports don't get a lot of attention, especially when it's not, when it's outside the Olympics, or maybe tennis. Tennis gets some love. Okay, so I don't know if this guy is considers himself transgender, although he's a dude and people are calling him she. So I don't know when that started, or or if maybe that was what they did when he was a kid because they just assumed he was a girl because he was born with this condition where the genitalia is ambiguous and it looks you know more like female genitalia on the outside than male. But I would say that in quotes, transgender athletes, and it's always men, are men, and so they're cheating. Because in every sport, I think every sport, I can't think of a sport where there isn't male advantage. I can't think of one. Even darts, maybe pool, maybe pool. If pool's kind of a game, but I think it's considered a sport, but not an Olympic sport. Maybe pool there isn't, but I can't think of a sport where there
I
isn't
think
male advantage.
I'm really hardline on this. Yeah, I'm hard on this because I feel like, look, women's sport, and that even applies to things like pool. Okay, we have them so we can have our own things. We can have our own
Yeah,
things separate from men. Okay,
yeah.
so even in pool, which by the way, yeah, there's no
I
um
mean, yeah, I don't know.
um
Maybe,
as far
maybe
as I
the
know, there's
break.
no huge yeah, but
Maybe the initial thing
yeah,
where they
but
like,
what I will say is this: yeah, sport is a zero sum game. Okay,
yeah.
if I get to that podium and I win, okay, it means somebody else didn't win. This Unfortunately, that's just the nature of it. Okay,
Hmm.
so every time I go in and when we think about the fact that for so long, and throughout the ages, women have been marginalized. Women have been underrepresented on not just the global stage, in every facet of life.
Mm.
We are allowed to have our own things. We're still playing catch up. Okay, so
Yeah.
even if it's something as innocuous as pool, we still get to have our own category.
Yeah.
Because
Maybe we don't want to play
just like
against the
the issue with
dudes. Yeah.
boxing, where yeah,
Mm.
okay. We obviously, the safety thing is a huge issue, but also
Mm-hmm.
representation matters, right? Okay, if
Mm-hmm.
we've had the Olympics going since 1904, but unfortunately, women's boxing has only been in at Olympic standard since
Mm-hmm.
2012. That's at least a good
Mm-hmm.
80 years of women not being represented in boxing
Yeah.
at the Olympics. Why can't we not have this?
And this year we have at least
And
two
in
spots that are
fact,
taken up by
we
men.
have young girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's two other women, deserving women, who've been prevented from competing on a world stage, or scholarships in the States. I know that you guys, a lot of your scholarships offer, like,
Yeah.
come through the sporting route as well.
Mm-hmm.
You are depriving women of opportunities. Do you really feel good about that? Because that's really messed up. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's insane. Let's see what else we have here. Yeah. Yeah. So just I threw in these things because when women, because like we'll use Karina as an example. She's under a lot of pressure now to quote unquote be nice. Yeah. And I'm sure that anyone that's out, I can imagine that there's a lot of pressure on her to quote unquote be nice about this, which
Mm-hmm.
is and I feel for her. I hope there's
Yeah.
somebody. I hope there's somebody who's on her side in all this shit, who's not just thinking about the team or about the
Yeah,
sport or
I
about the
think
Olympics. I hope there's somebody who's really just what
the
is
Italian
best
Prime
for
Minister
you.
did.
I want to go be your
Yeah.
mama. Like Karina, we may not speak the same language, but let me be an advocate for you. Not that I know sports bureaucracy, but I really hope. So anyway, so
It's called
cycling
female
is another.
empathy.
Yeah, so yeah, cycling is another where this first came out. At least I heard about it. A lot of men who say they're trans wanting to compete against women. So this is a guy. I don't know if he's from Australia. He's a man, and he's taken opportunities from women in professional cycling. So he's a fucker, and the people that allow it are also bad for this. So shame on them. You're a man. We have this. This is from the fight. So he's a man. This guy's a man. She's a woman. Um, but yeah. So and then there's a lot of the cry bullying. Yeah. So I'm sure there's a lot of cry bullying going on to her. So she's the victim in this. And just this case that happened yesterday, she is the
Mm-hmm,
one
mm-hmm.
who's the victim in this. But she's being encouraged, I'm sure, to see him as the victim. Quite sure. So that's cry bullying. And I'm not saying necessarily
Yeah.
him. I don't know what he's doing, but all the people around who created the situation, I'm sure, are cry bullying this young woman like crazy. I can only imagine. Here are two more men. It's also cycling. Aren't they lovely? Two more men who weren't
Mm.
able to take opportunities and to insult everyone's intelligence and denigrate women who probably felt compelled to go along and be nice. Isn't it great? They're women too. No, they're not. Two men. And this dude, sweet Jesus. This is, I don't know if this is New Zealand or Australia, this rugby guy. I mean, my
Didn't
God.
he also like cause physical injury to someone as
Look at
well? This
this.
person,
Look
his
at
name is, I
this.
think, quote unquote
That's right, I went on this
Hannah
slide.
Muncy.
Yeah, I'm like, what the actual fuck? Excuse me? I don't care what this guy thinks in the inside. He is a dude. He's an obvious dude. And I bet you anything he still has his dick. Not that if he didn't, he wouldn't be still a dude. But my God. I
Oh,
mean,
he does. He does. He does.
I'm like, and people who want to make us the problem, fuck all these people. All the woke bros, all the cowards, and the trans maids. Shame on you. I don't even know I don't even know what to say. So we have this. So and then we have Leah
I'm literally
Thomas.
looking at this and I'm thinking,
Yeah, this guy.
oh, I saw this one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so
this is the
then I
Hannah
don't know who.
Muncy guy, the New Zealand guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we have. And I don't know who this is. It's a runner, but he has a little. He has his dick, but he's obviously he's winning against the ladies. So he's another guy who took an opportunity and made everybody and all these ladies felt compelled to go along with it and probably to support it, or
Mm-hmm.
our transgender teammate, and it's gross. Okay, Leah Thomas. Yeah, we all know what happened. And Leah, although this is interesting, Leah wasn't allowed. This is the thing. So there's two guys who've been allowed to have been given spots on the women's boxing thing in the Olympics, but Leah Thomas was denied. They told him no, we're not gonna let you try out for the women's Olympic swim team. So I don't know if it's sport by
But they
sport. I don't know
only
what's
denied
going
him
on.
that. Yeah, they only denied
So
him
why
that
not? So Leah
after
doesn't get
the
to be doesn't get to depend
hormone.
to be a woman, but these two guys do. I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on at the Olympics. And here, and it's golf. This article said transgender golfer, but I crossed it out because he's a man. Haley Davidson wins Florida tournament and is now set to receive one of 5 women's places on the prestigious tour aimed at providing growth opportunities for female players. Haley, you're a man. Fuck you. And all the
Yeah,
people around this prestigious
I
thing.
echo that.
I mean, my God, Haley, you're a dude, and he knows it.
I echo
This
that. Fuck
motherfucker
you,
knows
Haley.
he's a guy. He's not confused. He likes pretending he's a lady, but I find it
He's
hard to
definitely not
believe that
confused.
he doesn't realize that he's a dude. I'm sure this guy's one of these AGPs that came out late, probably has 5 kids, and now he's a Haley and taking away a woman's spot probably on the PGA tour. Fuck you. Fuck you, Haley. Sorry, people. I said not suitable for work. Yeah. What else? Oh, look at this lovely lady. All right, let's. I don't know if you saw this person before.
Wait, hold on.
Maybe he's got a little tuck going on here. So also, he's very proud. He won. He's an old dude. Again, old dudes can compete against young women who've been training for like 5, 10 years and beat them. Why? Because they're dudes.
And by the way, he's only able to compete with young women because if he was an actual woman, he wouldn't be able to compete with women because he'd be burnt out. His physical
Yeah,
strength as a man allows him to compete with much younger women.
yeah. And here's one of my personal favorites. Richie Trey,
Uh
29, beats girl 13 to win women's skateboarding contest in New York City. Richie, by the way, was in the Marines, or was he in the Navy? He was in the armed forces. He's married to a woman and has 2 kids. But he's always, and this is a quote from him. I've always liked like pretty and fun things, so I just decided to embrace it. He's a dick. He has a dick. And everybody that allowed this, and this girl also, can you imagine? She was also, they also, and these people who want to like use children as human shields, like, well, she was fine with it. She was like, oh, it's important for everybody to compete. Of course, she's going to give the socially acceptable answer. Are you out of your mind? Her parents should have said
mhm.
something, and it shouldn't have happened in the first place. It shouldn't have gotten to the point this 13-year-old girl has to pretend that it's fine. This fucking freak took away her trophy. And I think like $1,000 or something in cash prizes. But
It's
we're the
really,
mean ones,
really, really
Artless.
insane.
We're the mean ones.
Of course we are.
I
Of
mean,
course we are.
can you
Just
imagine?
because we think, see us, women deserve their own sports. Like that's. And by the way, what is the point of having a sexed category if you're going to
Mhm.
make it a
Mixed sex and apparently old men
multi-sex
and women.
category?
I mean, and
It doesn't
everybody,
even make
can
sense.
you
Like they're
imagine the
making
emperor?
themselves
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
look like the biggest idiots on planet Earth. Like, if the Algerians weren't just trying to get a medal, they'd probably be scratching their heads at this too, right? Like, at the end of the day, you know, there's zero. Yeah, it's true. That's the truth of
Yeah,
it is. Okay,
yeah.
why would sporting categories are
Mhm.
divided into male and female, or by age, or by weight class, or whatever. You don't for all these categories. You don't put other people. Otherwise, what's the point of creating the category?
Yeah. Well, we have to queer it. I mean, and can
What
you
is the point
imagine?
then?
I mean, I'm just like, can you have a bigger? I mean, all of this stuff is bullshit, but especially when, like, with the Leah Thomas and with when it's sports, it becomes so obvious. Or I think it's always obvious, but the risks involved become particularly obvious when people can see it in sports. People aren't always in the bathrooms, or they maybe. And again, I think that most men and women think that guys who say they're trans are all very gay, and that is not the case. There's a lot of guys who go trans who
Yeah,
aren't
yeah.
gay. But that's a different story. But can you imagine? This is New York City. So this is an event. So everybody went along with this emperor doesn't have a penis thing. So I can imagine that this guy goes to sign up for this event. And I would think if I was the people doing this, I probably thought, oh, maybe he's signing up for his, daughter or for his sister. No, no. He's signing up for himself. And no one says anything. No one wants to say anything. They're competing. The parents are there. The girls are there. No one's saying anything because, of course, you want to be nice. And if you're in a social situation, if you think something's weird and you look around and everybody else is acting like it's normal, you're like, well, okay, fine. All this went on, and the guy, I didn't put the whole picture, but this guy, he's on the podium, and by the two girls he beat, and he's thinking it's a fantastic thing. He had a great weekend. Just I'm not really violent, but I would be
I
hard
know
pressed if I was in that room not to go and beat him with a stick. I'd be like, "What's wrong with you? What are you doing?" I mean, it's crazy. Oh, I see. Okay. Hi. Okay. Oh.
no conscience whatsoever. No,
Mm,
no, not even one iota of integrity. It's all me, 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 me.
yeah. I mean, this poor. I mean, my God. And what does that tell this girl and all the other
It's
girls?
all me, me, me,
What
me, me.
message does it send? I mean, it sends it doesn't. You don't matter. You don't matter. This weirdo matters.
I think
You
that's
don't
what
matter.
infuriates me. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't matter. You are not seen. You are not visible. You don't. You're just like a nothing burger, basically.
Hmm. Okay, so Artlist has to go in a couple
That's
of
the message
minutes.
that they're giving out to young
Yeah.
people.
So real quickly, so banned. This was
Yeah.
in the UK, and I can't remember what he changed his name to, but he was banned from competing against in women's cycling.
Emily. His name was
Emily,
Emily.
his name is Emily
Emily
now,
Bridges.
and we were supposed to feel really bad for Emily, and I'm like,
Yeah.
good. You should have never been allowed in the first place. They should have banned you because you're a dude. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are just some of the people who go along with it. I was mad, so I was gonna have like a thing about the people who go along with it, but we'll just skip through that. Um, but yeah, so this is a couple of tweets that I pulled. Um, so someone wrote, again, Emma doesn't think it's a big deal, and she's being sarcastic. I can't believe there are people on sport with a physical advantage over others. That isn't what sport's about. And so Ben Cooper's like, yeah, I can't believe we had the Paralympics. They should just compete in regular Olympics.
Yeah.
Why have male and female? Why have male female categories at all? I mean, really. I mean,
Exactly.
why have any ways of weeding out the people who want to participate? People are idiots. Let's see. Yeah, so I just wrote this that women aren't men who wish they were women. Women aren't men with intersex conditions. Women aren't a hormone level, and we're not a
Mm-hmm.
dickless man. We are adult human females. That's it. Black, white, brown,
So true.
I mean,
So
whatever it
true.
is, it's a woman. Yeah. Serena Williams is just as much of a woman as I am, probably more because she's badass at the tennis thing. Yeah, I mean, but in terms of just who's a woman, that's it. Yeah, Heather Hying. She's good. She's a evolutionary biologist, I think. Uh, doctor.
Okay.
People with disorders of sexual development should not be allowed to compete in the women's category. Under the banner of tolerance and equality of opportunity, we have now inequality of outcome for half the population. This is true. Who cares? Screw the women. Screw the women. Screw the girls. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Or like Emma Vigeland, fantastic trans maid from the majority report in the United States. She doesn't. Who cares about women's sports? She's lovely. Um, let's see. This is one from you. So Emma Hilton was talking about the power gap between a male and female punches around 162%. That is, males can punch 2.6 times harder than females. It's the biggest performance gap I found. And also, people may not be aware of this, that men's bones are denser, especially in the face, than women's are. So
Yeah,
men can take more of a
yeah,
punch and throw more of a punch than women can. But who cares? The
yeah.
feelings. And so I'll let you read your own
And I
words.
just want to add really quickly as well. Look at. Oh no, I was just gonna add. Just look at Emma's the date which Emma wrote this. This was 2021. That's 3 years ago. So what was the IOC doing in that time that they haven't had time to look at this? Not that they haven't had time. They've had time.
Apparently
They
worried about
want to
PR.
see this. They want to see men hitting women in the ring.
Yeah, they don't care, or they just don't care. They don't want to say
I
no.
like yeah,
They
and
don't
this
want
is
to
why
say
I'm
no.
saying
They don't want people to be like, "Oh, you're transphobic, or you're mean against this intersex, whatever." And no one is saying that he's an intersex male. They're all trying to say he's a girl or a woman. It's like, yeah, whatever. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, they've had plenty of time. This isn't new, and the information's all there. That's why, like what you mentioned earlier, when people come across when they're like, "Ooh," and then even when you can say X, Y, and Z, then they come on, they just leave that and go on with some other crazy stuff. And it usually just ends up with you're mean. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
or you're right wing, or it's like, well, whatever. If right wing makes, if you want to, I'm beginning to think they have a point, people, because you people are making yourselves look batshit crazy. Okay,
Well,
quickly.
here's the thing.
Um,
If right wing means knowing the basic facts about our evolutionary species, the fact that allow for 7 billion people to be in this world, and if that is right wing, you're going to find a lot of people are right wing
yeah,
towards
fine,
women.
then I'm right
Like,
wing, whatever. It's
this
like
is
it
this
doesn't mean
is
it doesn't
not the
mean anything
argument
to
the left
me.
wants to make because honestly, they're going to lose every time.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. And so
Because
Oliver Brown,
what's basically going to happen is people are going to be like, yeah, what's basically going to happen is people are going to be like, well, hang on, if left wing is about letting a dude hit a woman in the face of sport, I don't want to have anything to do with that shit because that shit's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, or pretending like like, oh, please lie to me, I like it. I love being denigrated, and I love that women are held in contempt. I love that that 13-year-old got that. I love that happened to her. I love that what's happening to Karina now. I love what happened to those ladies, those young women who had to compete against Leah Thomas. I just think it's fantastic. I think it's great what happens in prisons when a rapist gets there because he sees the trials going the wrong way and decides he has a
Ugh.
woman trapped inside of him. I think it's great. If that's right wing, me saying no to that, then fine, I'm right wing. I don't care. It's like, whatever. If left
Hmm.
means you're full of shit, then I don't want to be full of shit. Anyway, Oliver says Andrea Carini was on a quest at these Paris Olympics to honor her late father. In 46 seconds, that dream was sabotaged by an IOC that chose pandering to activists and ideologues over protecting women's safety. I don't see how he's wrong. And then this is what makes me pissed off at this dude. This guy, he knows he has an advantage. And he's going to try to comfort her after he punches her in
Mm-hmm.
the face and she has to concede. Fuck him. He's not
I'm so
nice.
glad she didn't shake his
This is
hand.
not
I'm
nice.
so glad she
This
didn't
is
shake his
not
hand.
nice.
Yeah.
Fuck him. Not nice. Again, not nice. And then Sonia Soda, I think I also got this from your feed. This is completely the fault of the IOC. They continue to imply that someone's biological sex is
Mm-hmm.
determined by what's written on their passport, which used to be a safe bet
By the way,
until all the
what I
gender
want to
craziness.
understand,
Go ahead.
what I want to understand is this tweet of Sonia's, by the way, where again, yeah, the IOC is saying someone's biological sex is determined by what's written in their passport. This was debunked again by the Court of Administration for Sport, okay, where they pointed out in very, very, very plain language that um you know we don't play sports by what's written on your passport. We play sports based on your sex bodies. So again, that
Yeah.
criteria for measuring this is
Yeah.
completely fucking wrong. Hey
And they're
IOC,
easy,
are
and
you
it's
even
easy to get.
liaising with Cali at
Yeah.
all?
And I can get it a fake passport, lickety split, yo.
I'm
I don't have one,
But by the
authorities.
way, this is another argument for saying when people tell us, oh well, what does it harm to give them to give the trans males, the trans identified males, a passport. This is the harm it causes, because now we're saying the passport is what legitimizes your biology when
Mhm.
it's the other way around.
So look at that.
Your
Here, so
biology
here
gives
again.
way
Here's this.
for you
Here's
to.
this guy training. I don't know. He was training someplace. So the guy, Khalif, and
Yeah.
he probably has 5 ARD. So here he is, and then he's going to console this woman who he just hit in the face twice. He's going to try to console her. I'm like, fuck you. I mean, please, please. I don't feel sorry for him. I don't. I don't think he's the
No,
main.
I don't.
I
I
don't
don't
think
feel.
he's the main. He's not the main villain in this. He's not the main villain in this. But he's not innocent
I don't
by
feel
any
sorry for
stretch
him,
of the
but I'm more
imagination.
furious at those who egged him on.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Like,
There's
I don't
plenty to
feel
go
sorry for
around.
him at all. But
So
I'm
here we
more
have Sex
furious
Matters.
about
Sex
those
Matters.
people
Thank
who've
God for
let
Sex
let.
Matters. Sex Matters is on this. It's good.
Oh,
Thank God that we have. One of the silver linings of how terrible Maya Forstarter was treated for daring not to pretend that men are women is that they're, as far as I know, they're really creating quite the resource on this issue. Evidence,
yeah.
fact-based,
Oh,
expert
and by the way,
resources.
they've issued out a fact sheet on this. So if people
Hmm.
are still in the dark about this and they want an easy to read, like, briefer on this, or position paper on this, please
Hmm.
go to Sex Matters. They have a wonderful position
Yeah,
paper that you can read, and it's really
yeah,
easy to absorb and really easy to understand, and you can see exactly why
yeah,
women are up in
yeah,
arms about this. Apart from the
yeah,
obvious,
yeah,
here's the thing. So many times in this discussion, women are often told, bring the science, as if we need the science to totally understand that women are physiologically different to men. I mean, we've known this
yeah.
since the beginning of time when we didn't have
Hmm.
the science. But okay, now we have the science, and you want to dismiss the
Yeah,
science too, meaning you don't give a
yeah,
toss about the science. You just want these men in
yeah,
women's faces. Just say that.
yeah. You just don't care, or they just don't care. So so Sex Matters says, and again,
Yeah,
it's a disgrace. Have its officials no shame? What will it take to end the scandal of males and women's sports? This poor woman, and now they're coming. And again, we just know. I'm almost crying because I just know how she's being continuing to be mistreated. They really want. I mean, I'm sure they're really trying to get her to come up and make some sort of struggle session statement. How
yeah,
whatever. I mean, this poor. I mean, and she is the one that was screwed. She was the one that was hit in the face by a dude when everyone's pretending that he's not a
exactly.
guy. She is the victim in this. Not that she isn't badass and strong,
Yep.
but she's the one that was screwed over, not that dude who was hitting her in the face. Yeah. And now that people are
Yeah.
saying, hey, what's with this dude hitting this woman in the face? And he's like, and they're like, oh, it's not fair. Like, well, whatever, yo. Man up or whatever. Uh, so yeah, so
It's
this
just
is also
maddening.
very
It's
nice.
just
I like
maddening.
this picture of her. So it's just I just basically rewrote what Sex Matters wrote. Is that what will it take to end the scandal in women's sports? I stand with Angela Carini. She was fucked over. I'm quite sure they're trying, and she's not I mean, the pressure is coming down on her to be nice, to pretend that what happened didn't happen. So I'm not gonna. I'll be upset if if it inevitably goes out and makes some sort of like oh my bad. But I'll understand it because it's a lot for someone to take at
Yeah,
25.
I think the issue is that she's having to set aside her own pain, her own humiliation, her own feelings to, once again give in to the feels of men. And this is the problem right there, like in a
Mhm.
nutshell. Okay, we need to stop doing this.
It's
Yeah,
boxing, for
and on
Christ's
that note,
sakes.
unfortunately, I am gonna have to
It's
run. I'm
boxing. It's okay. So thank you, Artless. I really appreciate you coming on because we've all been like, what? So I was like, I know it's what day is it? Is it Friday? Yeah. I'm like, it's crazy, but can anybody come on because
It's Friday.
it's insane. It is insane. So
It's a
the
headbanger for sure.
scandal of men and women's sports has got to end. Let's stop pretending that the emperor doesn't have a penis. Okay, no men in women's sports or girl or in the women's sports. None. I don't care what you think. I don't care what your gender identity is. I don't care if you have
No.
what's going on. No men in women's sports. 0.0. And if you want to make women feel bad about it, then you're the problem, and shame on you. People who are supposed to look after for these people and make sure that things
Exactly.
are safe
Exactly.
and fair are failing women across the board, across so many countries, and it's just disgusting. And if people want to try to silence us and tell us we're racist or we're transphobe or we're not being nice to these guys, I could care less. Enough of being nice. Being nice has gotten us nowhere. Being nice has gotten us here. I'm not doing anybody any favors. I don't think. Well, I know that we're
Being
not.
nice is getting
Anyway,
women punched in the face, and that's not nice.
no, it's not nice to get women punched in the face. Artless, you're awesome. Thank you. Tell your sweet niece to keep on keeping on, and we'll make sure that if she goes forth in sports, that no random dude takes away her opportunity. I know that I'm sure her mom and dad won't let that
Well, I
happen, but
mean,
I
this
know
is
you
part of
won't.
the reason why I'm so passionate about. No, I certainly won't. I mean, she's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this, because I want her to have the world, in as far as possible for her to. So I'm not letting a guy deprive of that.
No way, yo. Or and also all the people who allow it to happen. There's plenty of women who
Yeah.
pretend that this isn't happening, which is just disgraceful. I mean, come on, people. It's not. I don't know. Learn to say no. I thought that was the whole
Yeah.
thing. We were supposed to learn to say no. Apparently, nobody can say no anymore. Well, a few of us can. Okay. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time, Artless. Have a good night.
No.
Bye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime.
You too.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye. All right. So that was Artless. And she is the Morbid Symptoms contributor who has the most knowledge about the crazy gender ID stuff and women's rights and whatnot. So I'm glad to have her on. Thank you, Artless. Oh, so what's the word? It's okay to say no. No men in women's sports. No men. I don't care what disorder they have. I don't care what their problem is. I don't care if they think they have a woman trapped inside of them or if they watch too much sissy porn and now they want to be a woman. I don't care what it is. Men aren't women. Yeah, women on a hormone level. Women aren't men with intersex conditions. Women aren't dickless men. Women are adult human females. That's it. So learn to say no, people. There's people there's people who will stand up with you and for you when all the dipshits and gaslighters and woke bros and trans maids and cowards try to gaslight you, try to turn it around and make it seem like you're bad for saying the obvious. You're not. We're right. They're wrong. Stay strong, and I will see you next time. I'm going to play the slideshow again on the way out. And thank you. Please like, subscribe to the various platforms. We're on Rumble, YouTube, and X, also on Substack. If you can afford it, please send us some money because this is an independent venture, and I would like to continue to bring podcasts with on important topics to speak freely and honestly. We may not always be right, but we're not lying, and also continue to write articles. And I can't do that for too much longer without some income. My husband won't give it, let this adventure go on forever. Anyway, thank you. Take care. It's okay to say no.